Hello. Welcome, everyone. You are tuned in to ECPG Live, and our topic today is the pros and cons of telemental health services. My name is Tana Russell. I am the Assistant Director with the Evergreen Council on Problem Gambling, and I'm very excited to have William Castillo joining me today. I needed someone with a bit of some expertise on this area, so I'm excited he's here. Do you want to tell him a bit about yourself?
Well, first of all, thank you, Ms. Russell, for inviting me to this event, and thanks to ECPG for hosting it. And shout out to Mr. Maya for putting it all together. He's behind the scenes. My name's William Castillo. Been in the business for 20 plus years. Done several jobs from intervention specialist, chemical dependency professional, now a licensed mental counselor, and then for the last couple of years, problem gambling counseling. Have my own practice, Westwood Counseling Services in Seattle, and I provide gambling counseling at Coastal Treatment Services in Bellevue.
Thank you for being here. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
You might be answering a lot of our questions today for me. So first, I have a couple notes I wanted to cover real quick before we get started and tell you all how this will work. We went back and forth about calling this telebehavioral health or telemental health counseling. Use whichever phrase makes you feel most comfortable. Doesn't matter to us. We went with telemental health because it's a little bit more common verbiage, but really either is appropriate for today's purposes. So how this will work is Rob, who's behind the scenes, is going to post at the, can I do this, bottom of your screen, a question, some food for thought. So this is very interactive. You'll be hearing from us through the video, and you will comment on the chat, whichever side of your screen that it's on. So you can respond to the questions. Rob is going to be combing through those comments for us that you put in, and you may see some of your comments appear at the bottom of the screen as well, so we can have kind of a discussion with you about what you posted. Please feel free to give a shout out to each other, introduce yourselves, tell us what city you're tuning in from, so you can comment to us or each other, answer the questions, any of that. Just a quick disclaimer, this live streaming is not a confidential platform. So as we talk about experiences using telemental health services, just keep in mind to share your own information and not something that may be confidential or that belongs to someone else. So you can share your experiences either as a consumer or provider. Just be sure that if you don't want someone to read it, don't put it out there because it's not a confidential place. But we really look forward to hearing from you and you guys sharing with each other and maybe learning some tips, some tricks. Also, we do have a blog on this topic posted already on our website. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen. We have pre-selected some resources for you. They are on that blog already. If any of you add some other resources for us, we may add those to the blog as well after this. So just double check that for some resources for you. And my last note is, HCA DBHR has invested some efforts into helping providers get connected with the ability to provide telemental health services through laptops and Zoom licenses. So that resource is on the blog for you. And they may be tuning in, so you might hear them post in the comments with us. So with that, I think we're ready to get started. Rob, if you want to post the first question for us. Is there anything about telebehavioral health or telemental health that stresses you out or that you absolutely love? So, William, do you want to give us your take on that first? Get us started.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. Stresses me out. Well, I guess not knowing where the clients may be, if they're in a confidential, safe place where our conversations are going to be private, that's a little stressful.
You mean like if they're at home and someone else might be in their house with them or something?
Yeah, well, I think one of my concerns is that, let's say the significant other or the family members are there. They might not be able to be as open with their information as we are when we do an individual counseling session at the office, where they feel comfortable and they could talk about whatever and they could mention specific information. At home, doing telehealth or it's not as conducive to be talking about the SO when they're there. And we don't want to create conflict that we cannot somehow manage in through telehealth. So that's stressful sometimes. And again, the confidentiality part.
Especially if they want to tell you about one of those family members that's there, right?
Well, yeah, that's they are. The ear might be to the door trying to hear what he's talking about me or she's talking about me. So that sometimes could be stressful. As far as liking, the fact that we still maintain continuity, the fact that we still maintain contact, that's the fact that we still connect. They are not as some of the resources have diminished, like GA meetings are sometimes non-existent, or they cannot go online and do it, or they don't feel as comfortable doing it online. So the fact that we're still able to connect and provide the services is something I really enjoy.
Yeah. So we had a question come in, might have been from Maureen or Kathy, because they're tuning in as well. So
okay.
Will telebehavioral health options continue once social distancing is relaxed? Is it temporary for gambling counseling, or is it here to stay? What do you think?
I think that depending on the client, I think some clients prefer it. As far as like temporary is here to stay, I think there's the new world we live in, and we have to learn how to do this in a better way that is more concise and more private. I think this is here to stay. Personally, honestly, we don't know how long this situation is going to go along. I mean, they're talking about multiple waves coming, so this might be here for a while.
It might. And I've been wondering about for facilities and providers that are doing group sessions using virtual systems. And this, when we finally get to the days where we're not living under this pandemic and things can go back to some level of a normal, we might end up having a completely new normal. Will there be a mixed in-person virtual group? If someone can't make it to group, but they can sign in virtually, will that be allowed? Like, there's just a lot to work out with this. And would that change confidentiality forms they need to sign? So it's interesting to think about how we might try to keep it up or go back to the way things were, or try to do some mixture of both. I don't know.
Yeah, I think some mixture might be in the cards because again, it's challenging. Also, this allows clients to always be on time. So there's never that travel restriction of them not showing up, and it keeps them accountable and it keeps it available. So
yeah. I've heard some say that I was talking to someone today on the phone, actually, who said that they have more clients showing up on time virtually than they did in person.
Yeah, well, most of them are home.
Yeah, I mean,
most of them are home. There's no traffic. It's a beautiful thing. So part of it is they also enjoying the process because some of them again not everybody's as technologically savvy, so that's another drawback that the equipment might not be up to standards to do it efficiently. However, most people have a smartphone, a tablet, or a computer accessible, so it always makes it that in some level we could reach them at all times.
Right. Let's see. Maureen asks if it might reduce barriers to seeking treatment. What sorts of barriers? I could see. Well, for individual sessions or in private practice, etc., I could see a lot of barriers being reduced in regards to lack of childcare or transportation or out of gas, etc. I'm wondering if for group treatment, it might reduce barriers if, let's say, there's a group that is completely virtual once a week. And some people could come to, a couple groups in person and one virtual, and everybody just signs in for it or something like that.
Yeah.
There's options.
Yeah, I have not been doing any groups at the moment. Pretty sure that that's something that eventually we're gonna have to take into consideration. But I've been doing mostly individuals and couples and significant other sessions.
Nice. Roxanne, hello, Roxanne. We're glad you're tuning in. We love getting to work closely with her. And she says, we'll definitely be focusing on how we can continue to promote telehealth as an option for problem gambling treatment. Will allow us to expand access to care if geography isn't an issue. Excellent. And of course, as we know, geography is an issue right now for a lot of people who live central part of the state and some to the east. There's just more providers along the I-5 corridor than anywhere else. So it'll be nice if that can reduce that barrier for some.
Absolutely, that will be something that they will welcome.
Yeah. Rob, you want to put up the next question? And just a reminder to viewers, you can comment at any time on any topic. The questions we'll post are both for they're just for general discussion for William and for the audience. So just keep posting. How does it feel to be providing or receiving counseling services by phone or internet? So how does it feel as a provider doing services that way?
You know, as a provider, it's mixed feelings, I will say. I mean, there's some clients that you know that they're doing well because of prior interaction. It's a little bit limited if we doing for example, an evaluation. That's challenging because it's like you have to do a whole evaluation, and that might take a little bit more time. For me, I like to see my clients. I like to, you know, kind of like be in the room with them because I'm able to use my senses to kind of feel more what their experience is, or have they been smoking or drinking, or are they under the influence of some kind of chemical. Which online they could have a beer in their hand while they talking to you, so we don't know. So it makes it a little bit limiting on that way. However, in the accessibility is a plus. You know, they could be, you know, being distant at the beach if they want, or they could find a room in their house or a spot in somewhere private and be able to do the session. So kind of like mixed feelings. I mean, I guess I'm old school. I like to do it in person, but we have to adapt to the times. And if this was needed, this is what we do until things get back to whatever normal is.
Right. I heard someone mention that experiential learning is really inhibited through telemental health counseling, right? I suppose you could still do some mindfulness, some deep breathing, that kind of thing, even through a virtual experience. But it just dawned on me when you said someone could be on the beach even doing their counseling. That could be the experiential learning as part of the therapy, right? To get outdoors, be in nature, just using their phone and doing their therapy and practicing.
Okay, I guess Miss Russell froze for a minute, so
mindfulness. Wow, I can still hear you.
Okay.
There we go. We might have had a little technical here. Sorry, people. It happens. You just go with the flow when you're working.
Some of the challenges. There you go. That's what some of the challenges.
That's right. That's right. Oh, all right. Rob, you want to bring up the next question for us?
There's also a question here. We'd love to hear people's thoughts on the best way to let people know that telebehavioral health services are available. Oh, well, marketing. Still letting people know, using, you know, social media, Facebook or Instagram or whatever is available to let people know, word of mouth. We've been doing that at Coastal, trying to let people know, tell other people that we are here for them. We are available to contact us, and you know, we could guide you through the process of how to stay connected and get the services you need. So,
have you put it on your website?
My website, I think on mine's, I think I do. I think I did. Included that I provide telehealth services. Yes.
Yeah, it seems like that would be a good way as well. So when people are browsing, checking out someone's website, if they can see that it's on there.
And you know, people are actually, when they call me, they ask, "Are you providing telehealth services?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." So people are also aware of the distancing and that that's also available. And we have okay.
Excellent. And we can add that link to our blog full of resources after this is over as well. We'll comb through the comments then and look for those resources. All right. Are there benefits or complications in regard to access to services, case management, insurance, sharing documents, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Some benefits you see on your screen there might be flexibility, reduced wait time, and better access. Some complications might be technology needed. Of course, not everybody has the equipment at home to do this. It's less personal or unable to sign documents. So, William, what's your thoughts on some of those things?
Well, as far as the access to services, again, if they have the proper technology, makes it easy, makes it simple. Case management, I think that part, you know, a lot of it goes on email, or if we do in our own paperwork, I don't think that's as impacted. Uh, as far as insurance, you know, I that's always depends. I guess insurances themselves, they feel pretty overwhelmed with everything that's going on. So sometimes there could be a delay on finding out about services or payments. Sharing documents, I think that's probably one of the hardest thing on sharing documents with clients that are sensitive or confidential. So that part is a little tricky if we need a release of information or we need to do different things for the client, whether it's court documents or progress report for the different parties that are involved.
Right. What do you do if you need a client to sign something?
Well, we try to schedule it in a time where there's minimum people at the office. So for me, in my private practice, you know, it's just me, and I think I have like in my office, I have like 6 feet of distance. At Coastal, because we have multiple counselors, we try to stagger the days, which a counselor comes in and does what they need to do with clients. So that's been working well. We have sanitation stations when you come in, everything is shielded. We all wear masks, so we're trying to stay as safe as possible and also keep that safety for the clients. So if we need that, we allow them to come in, and again, we'll pick a day with try to space clients out so they don't run into each other. We have one entrance and one exit, so that also helps in the flow.
Nice, nice. And Maureen asks, what are the HIPAA issues around telebehavioral health? Are there some programs that are better than others?
Well, again, it's going to be always the confidentiality. I mean, making sure that nobody else has access or nobody else can hear what we're discussing. As far as there's some programs. The one I use is doxy.me, and that's HIPAA compliant. It's free to providers. It has a waiting room. Actually, it's pretty cool. Check it out. I found it beneficial, and some of us at Coastal are using the same program. So we found it beneficial, and again, it keeps the confidentiality safe, and then it's easy to access, and it's also easy for the clients. You just send them an invite and they are able to connect, and next thing you know, you're there. So awesome. I find that beneficial. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Does it allow you to do your case notes and things like that in the program as well, or is it specifically for, like we're doing now, just exchanging the video call?
It's just exchanging the video call. At Coastal, we have a separate program event advanced MD to do all our case management, our notes, and everything is on another program.
Very cool. I know some programs are kind of equipped for both. One counselor was telling me that the program they use allowed for a journal entry, and that the client could choose to keep it private or share it with their therapist. So all they had to do was click a button and they could send their journal entry straight to their therapist through the program. And I thought that was really neat.
That is cool.
Use of technology that way. How confident do you feel about things staying confidential?
I mean, I have to trust that my client is abiding by what we agreed. And a lot of times, you know, I have good relationship with the clients I've been working in the past. So that carries over into the telehealth process. You know, I just guide them through it. Like, let's make sure that, you know, you are in an isolated spot as much as you can, considering the situation. And, you know, I asked them if they could wear headphones, so it keeps it a little bit less, you know, they don't have to hear. Nobody hears what I have to say about the client, so that might create a little bit more of a confidential setting.
Right. I was on a webinar the other day where they were talking about HIPAA under the current circumstances, and that sometimes, you know, it's you just don't have the ability for a client to sign a confidential release of information form. So kind of the general info was, you know, leaning more on verbal confirmations, but document, right? That the counselor has done everything they can to try to get a signature, or can't. The client's giving a verbal, here's who it's going to, that kind of thing. And I thought that was neat. The main idea was don't stop serving your clients. Right.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. And, you know,
do your work best you can, get them signed where you can, document verbal releases, things like that. I thought that was a neat message.
Yeah, that's you know, the progress notes, even those are changing. We have to be more specific with what we're doing and how we're doing it. So yes.
Yeah, absolutely. And Roxanne's sharing another link with us there. And again, we'll get that onto our blog of resources. And William, I saw someone asked if you could share the name of that program that you use. If you want to type that in the comments real quick, then people can see the name of that program. I don't know if you have
Doxy.me, DOXY.me.
Awesome. That's easy enough.
That's perfect. That's why I like it. It's easy.
Yeah. And I think that everybody's preference would be just to pick a program from the start that they already know is HIPAA compliant, that's set up to be so. So you don't have to do the wondering or resort to something you feel is less reliable.
No, I think that's the main thing. Just make sure it's HIPAA compliant and that, you know, it's easy to access for yourself and the client.
Excellent. Maureen says, I've used Doxy.me with my own counselor and it works pretty well. That's awesome. Oh, and I thought I'd mention, I haven't done telemental health, but I did do telehealth services with a physician, and it was awesome. Of course, it's not counseling, but it was right on my phone. He gave me the spiel of what makes the flu, the cold, and COVID-19, I could tell he'd given that speech 1,000 times. I'm like, I'm good. You know.
That alleviates anxiety, right?
Right. But it was great having access that fast and not having to wait in a room full of other sick people wondering if I'd catch something while waiting to see the doctor. Oh, it's nice. Let's see, let's put the next question up. How do family members respond to their loved one engaging in online counseling services?
Well, my experience is that family members are mostly on board. They just want the person or the client to receive the services and remain engaged and remain connected and to continue working through the possible urges that they might be having. I mean, this is hard for a lot of people to be, home, and there's limited outlets that they have to either go exercise or go walk or do different things. So, some of them, I've heard more people are feeling depressed or anxious or spending. And my understanding is that you're going to have another event and you're going to cover that. So I'll embellish on that a little bit more when we talk about. But for the most part, the families are on board, the active participants, some of them. So they are, happy that they still getting some kind of services.
That's good to hear, because I had kind of been wondering if some family members would have a hard time saying, well, that's not real therapy, or you're not going to get better that way or something. But it's good to hear you've seen more positive responses, that they're glad they're still seeking counseling and getting the help and that kind of thing. I hope that a lot of family members are very positive about their loved ones seeking counseling that way.
Yeah, well, I think as long as they're getting some type of resource, and again, for the continuity that they're doing it weekly or a couple of times a week, again, it's hard for them to get out. GA meetings are limited, or some people don't feel as comfortable doing it online. So the more we do what we do, the better services and the better the person gets to continue their recovery.
Right, right. Do you feel that telehealth could help us work with family groups as well as individuals? How would you see it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've done a couple. I have a couple of clients where we do joint or family or couples counselings. It's just we have to be aware that we have to guide those counseling sessions in a different way, because we're not there to break up arguments. Things can escalate, so we have to be more aware of what kind of information, how much do we allow for the clients to share. And as long as we are aware and we set different rules and different parameters, it's so doable. It's so doable.
Neat. That is interesting to think about doing a family group. Are they normally, they're all in the same home together when it's going on, or are they in separate places and they're both signing on?
I've had them both ways. Okay. Where they're like next to each other into the screen and they're going back and forth, or they're in separate locations. So yeah, it's always a different dynamic. But again, as long as I'm firm in setting up boundaries. So as long as you set boundaries and you do it in a way that is positive and it doesn't cause conflict, I feel good. I mean, in my office, I could push a little better because they're here, and I just need to be more aware of like the dynamics when we do it online.
I do feel like people might tend to be a little bit more on their best behavior when they're at their counselor's office as opposed to when they're in their own home on their couch. You're comfortable, your guard's down, you might argue a little bit more so than you would in your counselor's office, maybe.
I find it varies, but I find things to escalate more when they're at my office for some reason.
Okay.
So maybe because they feel more comfortable. Yeah. So when I have them online, again, maybe it's just the session. I run it in a different way to make sure that those things don't happen, where things might become physical, and now we're over here and there's nothing we could do but call 911. So.
Well, that's not how you want to see it.
No. I like keep the peace.
How this would clear boundaries. Here's how this will work, etc. Oh, speaking of how to do and not do a session, there is a really great YouTube video. We did put this in the blog, so it is on there. I encourage you to watch it, and it's made by CAMH out of Canada. And it shows a bit of what not to do in video sessions. And some of it is, don't be eating and drinking in the middle therapy session. At one point, he stands up and he's got like a suit jacket on, and it's tucked into the back of like his board shorts. And
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Yeah, in their How to Do It Right, she talks about explaining the boundaries, and here's how this will go, and also here's what to do if you're in a crisis, you know, and I'm here and you're there. If you're in a crisis, this is how we would handle it. And so I just thought it was a really helpful video, and that is in the resources of videos for people to see. What kinds of training would you like to have available to help counselors learn to use telehealth options in their practice? So there is some training available. Do you have a thought on what you would like to see?
Me personally, well, again, it's just that they have to understand that they have to conduct the session in a way that it's not going to create feelings or emotions that you cannot control. I mean, when you're in your office, there's a certain level of like, I can push here or there because they're here and I could de-escalate. That may not be the case if they are home, and you know, especially on during a family or a significant other session. We have to be more aware of what kind of topics we bring to the table. So I guess that I would like to have people understand better that, you know, you have to be more cautious on doing long distance counseling than when you have them in your office.
Yeah, be more thoughtful. You can't do your. Sorry, I just dropped my notebook on my dog.
That's one of the things not to do.
Well, you know, your routine you've done. You said you've been doing this practice for 20 years, so I'm sure you've got some rhythms you're very comfortable with. And when you go to telemental health, you have to create new routines and new rhythms.
Yes, absolutely. Again, it's different in person, you know, because again, you get to see the person, but again, when we do telehealth, we don't know. We don't know, have they been drinking before we started the session? Have they been using any kind of substance? Did they have an argument? Or how are they feeling with this, like, you know, that feels that the limitations that we have right now. So we have to, you know, kind of like go through all that, make them feel safe still, make them feel still that, you know, we are paying attention and that we are engaged and connected, which it could be challenging doing it, you know, long distance.
Nice. And of course, Roxanne is sharing more resources. She just said that of the gambling treatment providers contracted with HCA, many of them have actually increased their sessions during this time, which is really cool. Yeah, so something's working there. Yeah.
Well, again, it's the lack of resources. I mean, if they don't have, again, all the outlets, so we have to be there to pick up the slack.
Yeah. How long have we been fighting to reduce barriers, and then a pandemic kind of reduces a few for us?
That's all it took? Okay.
Oh, great. You know what? You learn and you find the blessings in the small things. Rob, did we have any last questions? We're about right on time. We can probably do one more. Any tips and tricks that you can share? And we've got a few on the screen.
Well, for me, if I try to play like, hey, how you doing? Where are you? And, you know, kind of like have them tell me, I'm like, show me where you at. And if they have the ability to pick up their phone, tablet, or laptop and give me a 360, that sometimes helps me, like, okay, I want to make sure, you know, if I see something that I shouldn't see, like alcohol bottles or pipes or paraphernalia, but I use that, and I do the same thing. Hey, I'm here on my office, check it out, this is how it is. So they feel a certain level of comfort, but sometimes just like they might forget that they left something behind or they left something around, and if you pick it up, then you could bring it into the conversation. So that's one of the things I do.
It can become part of the therapy.
Yeah,
that's neat, because in virtual you might struggle to be able to read their body language maybe as well as you could in person, but you just made a good point. You can read their environment.
absolutely.
If you've triggered your client via telehealth, what strategies do you have to de-escalate them? What a great question, Miss Noella
Piquet.
Piquet. Great question.
Okay, you want to go first? You want me to go?
You go first. You're the expert here. Yeah, I'm learning from you.
Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully by then I have built some kind of rapport and with the client, and we have gone over the escalation exercises, such as breathing exercises, or I may stop it. I may stop it and say, okay, pause, go for a walk, and then let's get back to it. Whatever needs to be done at the time. So it's going to vary depending on how they feel. If not, I'll sit with them and we'll process it as we go. So it all depends on the emotion. I mean, if they get angry or if I feel they're getting violent, then of course we have to take some other precautions to make sure that no other family member or significant other gets injured. But for the most part, again, that's why I conduct it in a different way, just to make sure that I don't trigger emotions that I cannot control via the telehealth process.
Yeah. You know what's neat about if you tell them take a little walk, if they're on their phone, they can just walk right with you.
Thank
Take
you.
a photo with them. De-escalate while they're going. When I was doing gambling treatment, I'd often tell them in the group, things we talk about might be triggering for you here. And we talk a little bit about trigger extinction and how they're bound to get triggered in life naturally, just because gambling cues and triggers are everywhere. So there really is no better place to be triggered than when you're in the room with your therapist.
Right.
That's the safest place to be triggered, right? And so we just talked about how let's practice handling how you want to respond to getting triggered here in session with the group or with me in the one-on-one, whatever it is, because it's going to happen when you're not in this place as well. And of course, the more they get triggered and do not go gamble or go use, now their brain has more memories of having that trigger emotion or sound or place or person or TV commercial, whatever, without gambling, and can store that as, I'm good. I can be triggered. I can have a thought. I can have a craving, not engage, and I'm okay. And gives them more positive memories to replace the past ones.
Well, and I think also if you establish that beforehand, knowing that you're going to do a long distance, like, okay, if you feel triggered, this is how we're going to handle that, or let me know, or as you start feeling a physical reaction, because then that's the other difference of not being in the room. You cannot always detect the physical reaction of them getting tense or getting, biting their... Yeah, so we cannot always pick it up, but I'll do it beforehand. So when it happens, we already have a plan in place. So I find that to be a good strategy, and it's successful for the most part.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot you kind of go over with the client in the beginning. And so I've also found it's good to repeat that along the way, because in those first couple sessions, they get bombarded with so much information. Not all of it can be retained. So reminding them this is how we respond to crisis or triggers. I'll ask you about suicide a lot, and kind of reminding them of some of those things too is good. And Roxanne's got another resource for us for telehealth tips from their website. Thank you again for that. And I think that's about all we have. Rob, was there anything else we're on our agenda? I think that's about it. So everyone, you can keep commenting and sharing comments, resources. If you need to reach out to us directly, please feel free to do so. Again, don't forget, you can check out our website. Rob, if you want to put our website up there one more time for people, then you can get access to all the resources we've talked about. And the ones that have also come up in the feed, we'll try to get those on there soon. So check back for that.
Okay, I think that Miss Russell froze. So for me, thank
as
you
well.
for listening and thank you for being a part of this. And
Thank
I'm at
you.
your disposition. If anybody needs to reach me, you can contact Miss Russell or the ECPG and hit me up. I'm always open and available to talk about whatever. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for participating.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe and healthy.
All right. See you later.